But I'm going to show you a rig that I have used very successfully to catch a lot of fish. This is a Strike King slider rig, and the way that this works is you simply put the line through there, okay, and then you're going to tie on your standard worm hook, soft plastic to the end. I like this Z hook because it's going to keep the lure more secure. I like the big mouth tube hooks. So Steve, basically the way this works is this is a Strike King slider rig, and the reason it's called a slider rig is this simply slides up the line. Your line comes through, and then what I like to do is use a extra wide gap hook like this, and then I simply take this and I tie it on just like so. I'm going to use an improved clinch because I like the knot to go up inside the slider rig and hold it in place. You can definitely use a Palomar or other type knot. That's just the old 5 turns back through the hole, salivate on it, pull it down, make sure it's secure, and then clip off your tag end. What I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to put a soft plastic on there to make this an additional bait. So your weight is your bait. What I'm going to do next though is I'm going to come up the line, and I'm about a foot up. I'm going to make a loop, and then I'm going to put this line through a wacky rig hook. Okay, the way that this works is simply get it through the eye, and a lot of times it's easier with thicker line to tie this part first, but if you do it like this, you can tie it on after the bait is already tied to the bottom, so you can, you know, turn your jig. And you can do this with a standard jig, but I like it with the slider rig in this particular case because we're going to fish in some thick grass, and I want both lures to be deadly effective, and I don't have to worry about the jig hanging up. So anyway, you're going to tie your standard Palomar by bringing it through here just like so. Make sure it's not through your weed guard. Tie an overhand loop just like that, come back over the hook, and then you're going to want to salivate on that. You don't want to make a weak spot in the line, so you pull that down real slow. Bada boom, bada bing. Now you have a wacky rig hook right in the center of your line, and we're going to simply take a Cinco. We're going to put that Cinco on there, rigged wacky right here, and we're going to put a speed crawl or a beaver style bait right here. I'll finish this up and I'll show it to you, but you're going to have the wacky rig about a foot up. You're going to throw this out, let it hit the bottom, raise your rod tip, jiggle that Cinco in place. Every time you move it though, this is fishing and this is fishing. And a lot of times what happens is the fish that eats this one first, as you're reeling it in and you're fighting it and this one's trailing along, another fish will come up and grab it, and you'll catch 2 fish on 1 cast. So I call this the Jig and Twig, mostly because I usually use a jig for this, but I'm using a slider rig today. So this is the jig, and because this is a stick bait, we refer to that as a twig, so it's the jig and the twig. All right guys, so for this rig today, I'm gonna take my slider rig and I'm just gonna use a zoom speed crawl. So Steve, the way this works is you come into the bait that distance right there. What I mean by is the distance of that little transition, which is about that far. See that? And come right out at a 90-degree angle. You're gonna run this plastic up on the hook and turn it. This is a weedless rig or a Texas rig when you're just using a bullet weight in front of it. Then what you're going to want to do is you grab your plastic, okay, and you use your thumb to kind of mark where the hook needs to come through. And so you just basically grab this like this, mark where it comes through, put it through the bait, and then what you want to do is scoot that up just like that, and you want to take this and you want to skin it into the plastic so the fish has to bite it. But when this is sitting on bottom, it's nice and clean, comes through the grass, and that hook is captured inside the plastic. So until that fish picks it up, it's weedless. It's going to drag through dang near anything out there. And then the way this works is you simply take this and you go just to the left of center, kind of grab it to where it'll hang. There's a band on most Cincos, so if you're on the skinny side of the band, you come through the center of the bait, go like that, take this weed guard and tuck it just in behind the point, just like that. You don't want to get it down behind the weed guard because that makes it, or behind the barb. And guys, that is a finished jig and twig. You got your jig on the bottom, you got your twig at the top. You simply cast it out, Steve, and when it hits the bottom, this is what it's going to look like underwater. You're going to cast it out, okay? It's going to hit the bottom, and then you're just going to do this. You're just going to jiggle that plastic just up off the bottom like that. But you notice how that one behind it is kind of dragging along. Looks like a crawfish or something. Sometimes they hit the back one first, sometimes they hit the top one first. Sometimes you catch one, you're reeling it in, and the line doubles over and you catch 2 fish in 1 cast. So it's a pretty exciting way to fish. Sure. It's also deadly effective, and it's a great starter lure, starter setup. So this keeps you from hanging up a lot. So it's a great kid or new angler rig. And see if I can catch a fish